Welcome back, everybody. House Party 5v5. We've got the Premier League coming at you. Season 4, Week 2, Game 2. On the red side, we've got White Lightning, the returning champions from Season 3. And on the blue side, we've got the Beetle Bandits.
Yeah, I am already interested because of these bans that have come out so quickly. Like seeing Callistonar Fiora. Fiora, of course, being banned out because she's very frustrating to play the minigame against. She can do a ton of damage really fast, and the heal is really strong if you manage to get it to go off. Meanwhile, we have Vladimir, Blitzcrank, and Garen, which Garen, of course, being incredibly overpowering in the top lane, very tanky, does a lot of damage. Blitzcrank, interestingly enough, has become a little bit more popular lately because he happens to work well with Juggernauts. You see Braum being locked in very quickly on Beetle Bandit's side.
Yeah, and the Quista taken off the table. Christina loves to hard carry these games. A great ADC with positioning, and Ballista just exponentially increases her ability to do damage and stay safe. So, want to take that off the table for her. Gnar, a pretty staple of the top lane. All throughout this Season 5 of the League of Legends seasons, Gnar has been one of the most dominant top laners throughout the meta consistently.
Well, it's less that he's dominant and more that he's just so safe that it's hard to bully him. There are some champions that can bully him, but he has this sort of like cyclic bullying that he can do where if he's ranged, he can bully most people because he outranges them. If he's in Mega Gnar form, he's tanky enough and has enough CC that he can outtrade them and then get away. So, he's never particularly in a bad spot. You see the Darius locked in, and Darius has been more infuriating than he used to be, if that's believable, because of the heal that comes out from his Decimate now. And in team fights, you need to actually focus Darius now, because if you don't, he heals hitting 3 people with a blade. He'll heal for about 36% of all the missing health he has, and that is increased by Spirit Visage.
It's just absolutely absurd how much he can do in fights. He can tank the entire team, heal up through it, and then he can execute you once you get low, and then chain those executes once he gets one of those kills rolling. It's just a lot to deal with. On the other side, he does not have a gap close, so Beetle Bandits picking Ashe and Braum are going to be able to infinitely kite him, assuming they're able to not get engaged upon initially.
I do like the Ashe pickup with Braum. We've joked about it being the Freljord bot lane or whatever, but it's a very CC heavy lane, and once they decide to initiate on you, it's actually really hard to get away because you have the Braum stun coming out from his passive and the Winter's Bite, and then you also have the slow coming out from Ashe, and that slow is really, really potent, particularly when each one of the shots is doing tons of damage to you. Gragas and Tristana being picked up on the red side, of course, and Gragas, we haven't seen as much Gragas recently. He's been a little bit behind where he used to be as a jungler, but maybe we'll see him picked up somewhere else. Who knows? Maybe it's the return of the infamous mid lane Gragas. Somehow I doubt it, but it could happen.
He just doesn't have this scaling like he used to on his ability power to become that. But he does offer a lot of tank. He can engage with the flash body slam, or he can disengage using the explosive cask. So he still offers a lot of utility for the team. Not a bad pick, just not as powerful in terms of the tier picks and OP-ness like you were just talking about.
The Veigar getting locked in, and kind of surprised that we didn't see a Veigar ban, but at the same time I guess they didn't really want to give away Vladimir to Malkathos because he does play quite a bit of Vladimir. And it looks like it will be a Malphite jungle. I was kind of expecting a Malphite top, but a Malphite jungle isn't necessarily a bad thing. He will be a little bit slow on his ganking. He doesn't really do a whole lot of ganking until about level 6, but once he hits level 6 with the Yasuo top lane and with Braum in bot lane, they're able to do these very powerful engages that allow Malphite to just take a huge amount of advantage of things. his ultimate is incredibly strong when your team already has decent amounts of CC, and they've got tons of CC lying around.
And not to mention they do have a lot of peel back and kite between Ashe and Viger, kind of sets up the zone control. Having Malphite on the team lets them pull that trigger when they find an initiation they want, or if somebody's out of position needs easily punished. Having both knockups on their squad will allow Worcester to get in there with Yasuo, assassinate the members, preferably Tristana and Azir, so they can the team fight. The longer it lasts between Ashe, the more damage she's gonna. And they need to single out Azir and Tristana, because if they don't, they will lose the fights.
I do have to question, though, the Azir pick. And I know that I will probably be proven wrong later, but I have to question it because two of the people that you don't want jumping on Azir can ignore Azir's ult.
That is very true.
Like, Malphite can ultimate in, and we'll just ignore Azir. And if either Malphite or Braum use their ultimates, Yasuo can also ignore the Azir wall. So he has to use it after they initiate on him, and that's assuming that he lives long enough.
Yeah, maybe he's going to look to build a Zanya's and reactionary pop that as Malphite's flying in at him. And then once he gets out of stasis, he can drop down the wall. But he's relying on reactions. He's playing a very dangerous game.
He does take the cleanse, though, and I'm not sure if that would be better than him taking the exhaust, but I guess if you're up against Veigar, you don't want to get just instantly killed because you got stunned. So he'll probably need that for reactioning, if nothing else. Overall, I think that I can say that in the early game, maybe in the mid game, White Lightning has the advantage in their team comp, and that might be what they're going towards. But when it starts getting later into the game, Beetle Bandits is going to kind of pull ahead because they have Veigar, who is an infinite scaling AP mage, who now actually scales even harder because they buffed the scaling on his Q. Rather, they made it so that he gets more AP because he also gets it from assists now. As we know, Yasuo, once he gets late into the game, he's really hard to kill. Usually ends up picking one or two tank items and then just going Infinity Edge and a bunch of damage. As for the White Lightning lineup, they have a lot of this early game pressure and a lot of the mid game pressure of Tristana. And I'm very excited to see what they're going to do with that. Tristana is able to put out a whole lot of damage onto towers, and it allows them to do a lot more poking near the towers. But Tristana cannot jump over Veigar's playpen. If he drops the stun, you can't get out of it unless you flash, because if you try and jump over the wall, you just get stunned at the wall. I don't know. It's gonna be. Go ahead.
That can be super useful for catching Tristana if he's ever out of position.
I mean, normally you want to try and land the walls around, or land the walls in such a way that it will land on top of somebody when they try and run away from you. But I could see it just as good just putting Tristana directly in the middle of it and saying, okay, you're not allowed to leave. You cannot leave this area, and I won't be able to hit you with my W, but I will be able to kill you. Caster's going to be taking a brief break while we go ahead and load in on see you guys back on the Rift. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the second game of the day in the Premier League for House Party 5v5. I am Declabase, and I am, of course, being joined by Thunder.
Hey, what's up, y'all? Great to be here.
And we are seeing just the customary line of scrimmage, just making sure nobody's going into either side of the jungle, dropping out the line of wards.
We expect to see White Lightning, the red side, be more focused around this mid-game, and they're gonna need to close it out quickly, because with the late-game scaling on Malkathos, on Worcester, just their entire squad is gonna be extremely hard to deal with come 40 minutes into this.
Yeah, and I think it's gonna be one of those things that is either gonna snowball one way or the other really fast. Because if one team gets ahead, it's going to be hard for the other team to come back. If White Lightning comes ahead, they'll be able to pressure a lane and decide, okay, we want to take a tower, we can abuse it with the wave clear of Azir and the tower killing power of Azir and Tristana together, or it'll just turn into Beetle Bandits saying, okay, we're going to force fights. We're going to take a tower, or you're going to come fight us. Because we will win a fight if we force one. Alternatively, instead of being a snowball one way or the other, it'll be back and forth as they kind of gain leads, and either Veigar gets kills or Darius gets kills back and forth. They can execute fairly easily.
Yeah, it's going to be very dependent on how, honestly, these top and mid lanes start their snowball. If Darius gets ahead, he's extremely aggressive. If Veigar gets behind, that will stop his scaling minutely, but it will buy time for Hobbs to pressure down the waves and roam.
Right, and the thing about Veigar is that he can scale really hard, and he's even better against things like Azir, who have to build AP. So his ult scales harder, but it looks like he's taking a whole bunch of damage in mid lane. I don't think that he was prepared for Hobbs to get the slight level advantage over him. As for top lane, Yasuo is not really going to be able to do too much pressure onto Darius. I mean, he will, but Darius can heal up some and can also win trades through his bleed, proccing the shield.
Down on the bot side, Beetle Bandit's putting a lot of pressure down onto Simkev. He's down in HP, but he has been able to zone an Ashe off of some of this farm. So Rapid's slowly falling behind on the CS, only on the third wave. And there's it coming into play. Senpai just out-sustaining Worcester, able to out-trade him, and they're going for a brawl here, and he just keeps healing back and healing back. Worcester going in deep on him, evening the trade out pretty significantly, and he's up in CS as well.
I think that he is up in CS, but at the same time, the wave is slightly larger on his side, so there are some minions that Senpai just hasn't had the chance to actually kill yet.
That is true. Trying to account for the turret being able to hit some of these odd health ones.
Uh-oh.
Izumi dishing out so much damage to Rapid.
Yeah, I think Ratbag kind of overreacted there using his flash. I don't think he realizes that Tristana's bomb this early doesn't actually do that much damage to champions. It's good for a little bit of poke, but it only does a lot if you get it fully stacked. But good on Miyagimoto managing to get a little bit more harass out and forcing a summon.
Malkathos getting chunked out in the mid lane. Sorry for interrupting you there, Deck, but Galactus is all over Hams. He's got the slowdown from the seismic shards and the red buff. Malkathos flashes in to try to get the event horizon stun, but Hobbs' quick reaction flashes directly out of it before it can activate.
I actually really like that play from Malkathos, but we'll go into that as soon as Worcestershire is done fighting Senpai.
Got 4 of those bleed basketball stacks on him.
Unfortunately, Senpai didn't quite turn around when he wanted to, or he would have gotten the heal from his Decimate. Didn't quite get it. But, so, as I was mentioning, Malkathos used his flash, and some people might say, oh, well, you know, he traded flash for flash, it was an even trade. That's not true. That is actually very heavily in Malkathos' favor, because this means that if Hobbs wants to be able to get away from him, he needs to keep in mind the event horizon range. Because he doesn't have flash to go over the event horizon wall, and he can't do the soldier slide over the wall.
He'll just get stunned on the way out. Well, at the edge of it. And Christina might be on the wrong side of Galacus, but she's able to body slam and catch the lantern to safety, so close situation avoided.
It's okay, he's got the body slam, he's safe.
Worcester gets grabbed in by the Apprehend. He's gotten more than half his HP chunked out. Senpai winning the HP trades, but losing in farm.
See, this is one of the reasons why I don't really like the Yasuo pick into the Darius, because it renders your flow shield useless. Like, Way of the Wanderer's shield is gonna be procced every time the trade is over, because even if he manages to get it up, the bleeds will proc it while he's running away. So sure, he might not die from it, but he will
it's not
end
as
up
effective.
losing it.
The bottom side, if you're going to look at the CS differences, even after this wave, Miyamoto is still up ahead against Rapid, and that's exactly what you need on Tristana. When come this mid game, when you want to get into these siege situations, be able to blow through those turrets, especially if she's got some extra items on her. But Galacus returning mid. Hobbs is caught by the seismic shards. He's going to shuffle over the wall and make it to safety. However, keeping this pressure on means Malkathos is able to freely stack his Q farm up. He's got a bonus AP of 28 already.
Yeah, and that's only going to grow because each time he gets a kill, he'll get even more from it. And while there aren't any kills happening just yet, he will, well, now he is level 6, he will be able to use the Primordial Burst to be able to just kind of blow up Hobbs if he's not careful.
And Christina falling behind in CS, sorry, not Galacus falling in behind on CS in comparison to Christina because he has ganked so many more times, and Gragas just has a more effective clear at the end of the day.
Yeah, I was going to say that it's very weird that Galacus is trying to force these ganks so much, because early game, Malphite doesn't really have a lot of ganking power. The only thing he can really do is walk in and throw in a seismic shard, and that's about it. He might get in range to do a ground slam, but otherwise it's really just the slow and the damage from that. Meanwhile, normally you would expect Argus to be ganking more, but it's good on Christina to realize that, okay, well, he's wasting his time ganking, my teammates know what they're doing, so I'll just kind of hang around sometimes, and my wave clear's better. So I'll just go clear the jungle. What's he going to do?
Check out this 3-man gank they're trying to set up. The Beetle Bandits want to take Hobbs out. They're surrounding him on all sides of the mid lane. They know he's low HP. However, Hobbs will have flash in about 40 seconds. Still has Cleanse Up and the Emperor's Divide, so they're going to back off.
Hobbs is good on HP. It's his mana that's low, and that does mean that it will be hard for him to kind of turn around a lot of stuff. Malkathos taking a little bit of damage, not too much. Hobbs wasting that precious mana that he has so little of right now. He opted to go for the Fiendish Codex first instead of maybe picking up like a Charm or something. And that means that he's not really going to have very good mana regen right now. Sure, he's out CSing, but...
Yeah, that's why Christina's trying to get that blue buff for his teammates. However, Worcester shows up, zones him off of it, and they're going to be able to transfer this over to Malkathos. Uh-oh, it's a little bit of a stall out on that. There it goes. However,
okay.
Done within vision of White Lightning, so they have the timer on this.
Now, we talked about earlier, Senpai was getting out-farmed by Worcestershire at first, but Worcestershire was zoned away from Senpai, and Senpai managed to freeze the wave in one spot, so he was very easily able to kind of even out that lead.
And one thing about Darius is, even if he doesn't get super far ahead... Oh, speaking of apprehending, chopping down Worcestershire, and there you see it. The bleeds are on him, and it procced the shield as he's going out, so Way of the Wanderer, not quite as useful as it could be.
On the plus side, he can manage to build it up pretty fast using his dashes, but he needs to be careful because if Senpai catches him out, he'll very quickly be able to just kill him, even if he's close to the tower.
And Hobbs just picking up his own blue buff now. He's going to be able to put a lot of bully potential down on Malkathos. We could expect to see Galacus roam in now because he's level 6 and they will be able to get that instant. Yeah, the Unstoppable Force is going to put out quite a lot of damage, and
it's something that I'm not sure if he realizes the danger that he's in if he even steps that far up, because he's kind of playing really aggressive for not knowing where Malphite is right now.
They do have that deep pink ward in their jungle, however, it hasn't given them any recent information to determine the location of Galactus. Oh, the arrow catches out Miyamoto! Teleport's being channeled, however, Dark Passage from Simkev is going to save him. He rocket jumps to safety. The teleport completely wasted on Malkathos' part. It was a great idea initially, but Tristana Thresh, so safe.
I think that was poorly coordinated, would be the best way I can put it. Because if they knew that they were planning that...
Christina catching out Galactus, and Hobbs is roaming in. Senpai and Worcester still going at it. However, this 2v1 scenario could look grim for Galactus, but they decide to give up the chase. Now Worcester is in possibility of danger of a 3-man dive. Or not. Or not.
lots of damage coming out, but Galactus did have to blow his unstoppable force to get away.
Oh, Simkev getting caught in the bottom lane. He lands the hook onto Rapbed. The exhaust is down. The explosive shot is out. However, the stun from fail mode is gonna get it. He picks up first blood. And 80 carries get killed each side. However, Simkev pretty low. Fail mode's gonna be able to push him into the turret.
Fail mode, unfortunately, having to get the first blood there for his team rather than giving it to Ratbed, but it is what it is. We did see mid lane, Christina's gank being foiled.
Worcester's got some stacks down on him. Let's see if Senpai pulls the trigger and starts dunking him like the master he is.
Here comes. You're hanging around really late. Galactus is hanging around. I don't know what he's really expecting, though. He doesn't have his ult.
That's fun, but Malkathos gets pushed backwards, and Hobbs is just going to walk out the other side of the fight. A little bit too aggressive with that flash on Malkathos' part.
I don't know why he flashed.
He was still in range, wasn't he?
Like, I really don't know why he flashed. There was no justification for flashing, because he was in range. He flashed forward on top of Azir, and then placed it behind him because he assumed that Azir was going to walk back, which was smart. But the flash was unnecessary. He was in range for every spell he had.
Yeah, maybe just a little trigger happy. Oh, the arrow's going to catch out Miyamoto, but he still gets the jump off. Fail mode slows him with Winter's Bite. One more proc for the stun. Not enough. But Rapid, very accurate.
Yeah, and I had mentioned it earlier. I realized we had another fight happen, so I kind of got off track with that. But the early gank, when Malkathos teleported down, I was confused because I figured, oh, well, if Radbed is going to be using his ultimate, and they know he's using it, then he may as well...
Oh, Filmo gets played and poked instantly. Christina is going to body slam into them. However, the Glacial Fissure's down is going to slow him up. Filmo flashes over the wall to dodge the explosive cast.
Senpai in a poor spot, getting chunked down.
White Lightning starting up the Baron. Simkev and Hobbs on zone control, so Malkathos can't do anything. However, there's a dive in top lane, and Galactus slays Worcester. Galactus and Worcester slam. Hobbs takes out Malkathos solo style.
And... well, that's a dragon for their team. They managed to get a couple of kills coming out. One for Worcestershire, unfortunately, managing to... well, Worcestershire didn't get it. It was, Galactus managed to pick up the kill on Senpai. But, White Lightning turning around, picking up a kill, and getting a dragon for it. And... looks like it's back to the safe lull of things. Nobody's in lane to fight. I think Senpai is being a little bit too over-aggressive, as expected from a Darius. He's not really using his wards very much, and that's going to cost him a lot.
The Beetle Bandits do an excellent job of punishing him over aggression. He has a lot of turret damage just to match up.
He does need to back up here, though, because the Unstoppable Force is available, and Worcestershire is almost in lane. So, if Gallicus tosses out that ultimate, then Worcestershire will instantly be able to get there.
And Hobbs has finished Nashor's Tooth. Miyamoto's finished Infinity Edge, where the opposing laners, Ratbed does not have Infinity Edge finished yet, and Viger has Athenes for a little bit defense. Try to at least not take so much damage from Hobbs and his extreme lane pressure.
I understand that Nashor's Tooth is like the item to build for Azir, but I still think that it's incredibly awkward to build because his soldiers don't proc the on-hit passive. So it's got a lot of really good stats, but then that passive is just completely wasted, and it just feels so bad.
Oh, Gallicus is going to slam in with the Unstoppable Force. However, the wall is down, but it's not enough to save him because Worcester has assassinated him. He took his last breath away.
Oh, man. And that's exactly what I was talking about. The wall isn't going to save you from both of these guys. Because you can knock them away, but Worcester can still get to you. And while they did manage to get a kill, Beetle Bandits did lose a tower for it.
Ooh, Worcester gonna find him via Wind Tornado. Field Tempest,
okay.
That's the correct name.
Yeah, it's okay. There's no reason to ever face check a bush whenever there's a Darius in the game.
I mean, unless you're trying to die, but then that's very counterproductive for your team. Speaking of counterproductive, Gallicus getting caught out by Sinkev. He's got hooked. Christina gonna land the body slam. Miyamoto just gonna dish out a couple auto attacks. The explosive shot. It's just a little icing on the cake. Wasn't necessary, but it secures the kill anyway.
I think at that point, the flash was a little bit unnecessary.
Oh, Hobbs is caught in between the Event Horizon. However, Malkatho's unable to hit him with any abilities.
He was dissuaded because of that soldier. He didn't want to get in range of it.
Oh, Hobbs going aggressive because he knows the stun is down. Christina there to give him some backup. Malkatho spots him out and going to play very safely. He knows what dangers are on the other side of that wall.
And Christina hanging over the side. He's going to be able to ult Malkathos
body
into...
slam! Ults Malkathos into the turret. The Christina is now caught on the edge of the Event Horizon. The Dark Matter's down. He has a little bit of HP. Primordial Burst is going to solidify that kill. Worcester flying in. He's going to land the dash. However, Hobbs is going to use his soldiers and get out safely.
Meanwhile, in bot lane, there was a very potent fight coming out from White Lightning. They managed to catch Fail Mode and kill him before Ratbed managed to kill Simkev. That was really close. The stun barely managing to fall off long enough for Ratbed to not quite be able to kill Simkev.
That turret is going down so quickly. Miyamoto's got the Dark Passage to safety. There's no chance they're going to get punished for that turret after getting the kill.
But still, while we see the kills are even, the game is not even. It's very heavily in White Lightning's favor right now. Uh-oh.
Oh, Senpai catches out Worcester with an apprehend. However, he's dashing through the minion waves to put some space between him.
Yeah, even with the even kills, White Lightning has a 2-tower lead, and they managed to pick up the first dragon. So they've got a nice 3,000 buffer, and they are slowly moving into this mid-game that they want to be in. Every lane is ahead in some way, except top lane. Top lane is even. It's behind by about 200 gold, but it's fairly close.
And the impact that Hobbs is having on this game, even though repeatedly getting ganked, has pressured Malkathos so much that that turret is almost gone. First turret secured, however, for the side of Beetle Bandits.
And it's a turret that they desperately needed because being 2 turrets down, that means that mid lane is going to be the next big target for White Lightning. Well, after this dragon, maybe.
Both teams lining up for it, trying to get those deep wards, secure the vision so they can make the best decision about how they go about these fights. White Lightning going to be very careful not to group up against Galacus. If he lands the unstoppable force on multiple members, it could be game over for them. Fail Mode and Worcester on the chase. iSenpai doing what he can to zone him off. However, Hobbs is being pushed all the way up to the side of Baron. Oh, Worcester's caught. Christina's going in. However, Simkev gets slammed by the arrow. Nigmoto putting out so much damage. One more attack on Fail Mode will get the reset. Double kill for iSenpai. However, the last breath is down, but it's not enough to get all of them dead. Nigmoto flashes in on Rapid. The explosive shot is down. He's going to Buster shot him into the rest of his team. That's an ace for White Lightning. That's going to be a mid-turret.
And the worst part about that was that fight happened after Beetle Bandits was chasing Hobbs all the way up while minions were killing their mid-turret. So they lost their first tier mid-turret, lost their second tier mid-turret because they lost the fight, and now they're going to lose the inhibitor turret.
Oh man, that fight escalated so quickly, and they get 2 objectives off of it. And on the back foot, they might be able to pick up Dragon if they choose to, but they might just play it safe. They don't want to get caught out.
And I think probably the big thing in that fight was the positioning that iSenpai had. Like, yes, there was a lot of disorientation going around between Christina and Hobbs, a lot of damage coming out from Yagimoto, but iSenpai managed to completely remove Malkathos from the fight. He pulled him over the wall and just burst him down before he could do any damage.
And Beetle Bandit's going to start up the Dragon. However, White Lightning is in no position to contest this. It's getting burnt down so quickly. There's no way that they can even try to steal this.
I think at this point, though, they're willing to make the, oh, we lost the Dragon trade. That's okay. We got 5 kills, 3 towers.
Yeah, they're up 4 towers total. They're up 7,000 gold. Yes, there's a few turrets left. There's 2 tier 1s for Beetle Bandits, but that in no way closes that gold gap.
Yeah, and I think we're seeing White Lightning moving into the state that they want to be in. They're very powerful. This is the mid to late game almost. Christina has a lot of tank stuff now. Miyagimoto does have the Infinity Edge and the Phantom Answer.
Sorry.
Not quite. Out of range, not quite. He almost had it. And I don't know. There are going to be a lot more fights happening now because White Lightning can force these fights. I wouldn't be surprised if they tried to go for an early Baron. They do have the vision control and they do have the lead.
They could be looking for it. They've got a bunch of deep wards in the blue side. Beetle Bandit's jungle lit up. Right now, all the main pathways to Baron. Simkev and Hobbs looking for a pick on Worcester. They dodge the Steel Tempest Tornado. Play is down, but Worcester's going to be able to dash through the minions. Christina pops the Righteous Glory. He gets the body slam. The slow is out. He's running out of things to jump through. He gets pulled back in, and then the kill goes over to Hobbs. They've got a man-up situation. This could be the Baron. There's 2 people on the bottom side of the map, one of them being the Beetle Bandits jungler. They're gonna trade Baron for a tier 1 bottom turret? That is not worth it whatsoever. They look so disoriented. They can't choose between the Baron or the turret. Malkatho's gonna do what he can, but unless he does some miraculous steal via the dark matter, there's no way that White Lightning's gonna give this Baron up.
I almost think that backing here is the wrong decision. I think that they should have gone top lane and used that minion wave that they have. But it looks like they want to do the defensive thing, move towards bot side, and make sure that Beetle Bandits doesn't try for another tower. Now, there wasn't really any chance for them to getting another tower. Galacus was kind of unsure if they wanted to make that trade, knowing that they were on Baron, seeing it through the Ashes Hawkshot. But, sorry, don't even name the ability often. And I don't know. I think that they just kind of got caught with their pants down. They weren't entirely sure what was happening until it was already too late.
Well, absolutely. They were completely surprised by the call. And then, okay, you get surprised by a call, that's going to happen. There's tons of different things that can go on in the game, and you're not always able to predict what your teammate or your enemies are going to do. But as a whole, they did not react in time. They showed so much hesitation. They were just wandering around that bottom side turret like, hey, do we take this turret? Do we go for Baron? In about 5 to 10 seconds of that, They got nothing done. Yes, they got a turret, but they lost Baron. They've lost their bottom tier 2 tower, and White Lightning was given an inch, and now they're taking a mile.
I think they're taking a lot more than a mile here. Looks like they're deciding to split up into a sort of 4-1 push. Nope, they're instead going to opt to pressure this open inhibitor and get this inhibitor turret, maybe. And I think that if Beetle Bandits wanted to fight, it would be now.
The arrow catches out Hobbs, instantly plays Galactus, goes in, the last breath is popped. However, he has the wall down. Worcester getting picked off by Miyagimoto. Fail mode, going in, he's going for the team, but he can't peel enough members away. He gets caught out by I Senpai, dunks for 2. Galactus, the only remaining member with Ratbed in the turret. He's trying to heal up, but it's not going to be in time. Simka flashes in behind him and gets the play. He gets taken out. Ratbed trying to pick up some consolation kills on the backside, but the Baron minions are on the Nexus turrets. There's only one left. He's getting poked out. Hobbs is super low. Flash body slam from Kurasmina onto Ratbed is going to zone him off. Hobbs picks up the kill while he's on the fountain. That's going to be the Nexus and the game going over to White Lightning.
That was a definitive team fight. That everything just happened to go perfectly for White Lightning, and even so, well played Beetle Bandits managing to not give up too much at a time, but White Lightning coming out with a lot of really good synergy and a lot of good team fighting.
It's so scary to be a hard engaged team with Malphite and Yasuo to assassinate a member and knowing that you're probably not going to be able to kill whoever you grab.
Yeah, it's weird because you're in a situation where you want to be diving constantly to take advantage of all of your tools, but you have to be backpedaling constantly, because if you don't, you die. Anyway, we will be setting up the next game soon. Game will start in about 15 minutes, assuming we can get it on time. Catch you guys in a bit.
Thanks for watching House Party 5v5.